We're doing it again. I know you people think we're crazy. Well, I'm the crazy one. He isn't. That's the difference. But we're psyched, man. I've been going, Dr. V, with 18 hours of no power, zero. Me and the dog. What do you do when you got that? You're spritzing. You're spritzing everywhere. You can't wash. You know what you got to do? You know what I got to do? I was thinking about this. They always talk about, for emergencies, you have to have all this food and all this to be ready for like 24, 48 hours. And they're offering it and all this kind of stuff. Well, we should get, that stuff that you spray on so you don't have to take a shower for like 10 weeks and they pull out the pants and they spray
Oh, the
it
Lumi
there and
stuff.
they're all into that stuff now. That should go into the emergency
There
kit.
you go.
I'm thinking about that because, man, I don't know what I was doing. So I just jumped into the cold water and I was, woo! I'm still cooking.
Well, it reinvigorates you. Now you've got plenty of energy. You're ready to go.
Let me tell you something. I always got plenty of energy. I don't need cold
You have
water.
no energy this week.
I'll be lower. I don't need cold water to get my energy rocking. So I just sit there and go, woo! It's still, man, I turned on everything. We're like 80 degrees in the house and it's all humid. Now it's much better. Even the dog's happy. She was looking at me going, let's go to a hotel. I said, I ain't going to no hotel. They're going to fix it eventually. Come on, what are we doing? But this is what I hate about it. You get these you go on the line and they give you these updates, right? Well, the only update they gave us, it was said at 5:00 yesterday, they got word the power went down because the storm went through. There's no question things happen. Okay. Just went right on through. Then it says there's another line for when they're going to assign somebody, then there's another line for when they're going out, another line for when they're going. So we're looking at 5:00. At midnight last night, there's nothing on there.
Oh, jeez.
Come on, tell me something. At 3 this morning, there's nothing on there. I'm going, tell me something. They sent us some text earlier going, well, would you like updates overnight? No text came overnight. Then you sit there and like at 7 this morning, they said, we sent them out. I'm going, you mothers. You couldn't have updated us. We pay all of this money. I just sit there and I don't understand sometimes. I just don't understand. How much easier would it be? I'm just getting pissed because everybody in the town is shut down. Let us know what happened. It's knocked all the trees down. As soon as it came through yesterday, I'm watching the end of Tulsa, whatever, with Rocky in it.
Yeah,
Sylvester Stallone. And it's the end of it's the end of F8 because I want to watch it before it starts next month, I think. And it shuts me down with 4 minutes left in F8. I mean, it's all starting to come. It's the episode prior to the last episode, and I'm watching to get ready for it. Boom, on off. I'm going, please make it off. I couldn't do it. How horrible was that? All my circuits blew in the circuit thing. I had to work them all to get them back going again. That's horrible. They wouldn't do that to a doctor's house, would they? I bet you that would happen to a doctor's house.
It happens to my house. Don't you?
Nah, but they come running out because they need you. They need you. That's what happens when electricity goes down.
They don't care. No,
Yeah,
they don't
maybe they don't care. They run out to the doctors because you call them up. You go, my patients need me. The electricity's down. Help me. Nobody helped us. We're all sitting here hanging as it went down at 5:00 last night, and they ain't telling us nothing. But it's always something good to complain about. Everybody likes the bellyache. I might as well have something to bellyache about today, right?
Yeah. Well, you haven't been watching the Olympics?
Who can watch the Olympics? I had no electricity for a day and a half. What Olympics am I watching? What I had to do was I had to open up the garage manually, take out the car, and then drive around and keep hooking up my phone so I could keep the battery charged so I could see what was going on. I don't know what's happening.
Well, that's why you have to get one of those electric cars, and then you can plug in everything. You don't have to ride around.
But I couldn't plug the car in to charge it.
Yeah.
Right, so what good is it? I got gas. I'm cruising around. I was ahead of the game. What can you say? Okay, gas. Right on. Marathon or whoever we use here. I don't care. We don't get paid by anybody. So that's what's happening. Keep it down. And she's agreeing with me back there. So let me throw this out as we start going because, man, now that we got electricity, I'm so happy.
Okay, we're
Fans
ready to roll.
go and look at that. Tika's happy. Everybody's happy. You're happy. We're all cooking. Just want to just hit a couple things here. Great stuff about the hostages coming back.
That's
It's
good.
just great. What I don't understand is this. I need you to explain this to me because you are the psychiatrist. We got all these people out, whether you agree politically or not. Why, if you're somebody like Donald Trump, do you get on there and not say he's happy at all? He never acted happy at all. Today or last night, I read on the phone, I don't know the exact time, he sat there and he said he congratulated Putin for getting a great trade. And I'm missing something and trying to understand what was done incorrectly here. People
Yeah.
shouldn't go to Russia. You're going to take
Yeah.
a chance. I can understand correspondence and media, but don't go to Russia. And he got our people out. What am I missing here? It just makes no sense at all. Why
Yeah.
isn't Trump happy? Why isn't MAGA happy? You know, I did a short video one. I only had so many people look at it because I'm just saying what I think now. I'm not worried about clicks. I hope everybody watches, but I laid it out there. I don't understand them. Fox wasn't happy. None of these guys are happy. They were all complaining. I've never seen anything like it. Oh, the editor of the Journal came out and said thank you. I mean, it's like, really, how split up can we be when we save Americans and Americans aren't happy? Isn't that all part of what we talk about here? Tell me, Dr. V, go with it.
Yeah. So here's the issue.
And
Trump,
those of you watching, feel free to contribute, throw in ideas, stuff. We love you. We don't care if you agree or disagree. Go ahead, Dr. V.
yeah, I mean, I'm curious to get the feedback from people watching this, but this is what I see from Donald Trump, that he's very transactional. Everything is a negotiation. And so when he looks at bringing the hostages back, rather than experience the joy that the families have of seeing their loved ones that have been gone for a long time and feeling the joy of that, he looks at it as, did we get a better deal than the other guy? Everything is I win and you lose and I win. It just, everything is based on the transaction, the art of the deal, if you will.
Okay, I can go with it. Okay. But the transaction is for the benefit of America. And so you look at this and these people are home. Yeah, we gave up. Look, you got Germany who gave up this killer, this assassin who shot people in a park in front of kids and mothers and fathers. That's what was given up for him along with others. You know what looks sad was one of these underground spies or as a mother and her husband, and I think they were in Norway or something, and they came back. They got off the plane and they were with their kids, and their kids look like maybe they're 12. They looked bummed. They had no idea what was going on. Suddenly they're being uprooted from the Netherlands, I think is where it was. I could be incorrect, but somewhere out there, and they're now in Russia. They're probably loving their life, and now they're going to be stuck in Russia, living with that thug. I mean, think about that, how crazy it is. But so it all got jumbled, but these are Americans. I don't care if they're right, left, middle wing Americans. We'll bring them home, but please don't go to Russia anymore. Look, Trump made trades when he was president. Good. What was wrong with that? He brought Americans home too. Right on, Trump. Okay, what are you complaining about here? We'll go on. We'll get off this in a sec, but I just don't understand, transactional or not. I think it goes deeper than transactional. I think it's just a hate he's got. It's just a hate he's got.
Yeah, he's angry. I don't understand why so many people who support the MAGA movement are so angry all the time. I mean, when you hear the candidates, you hear Trump he just sounds angry all the time. He's upset. America's losing, America's going down, and then you see Kamala, who's smiling all the time. People have a choice in this election. Do they want someone who gives an optimistic view of the world, or someone who has this pessimistic view that things are getting worse and things are terrible? I don't get it. I really don't understand it.
Well, you're rolling us on to our next point, doing a beautiful job bringing the bridge on. I mean, I wish we could build the bridge here in Baltimore that went down as easily as you just bridged us over. But that's really where the issue is. It appears I've done a few shorts on this
Hmm.
that have been up there. To me, it appears that what he's doing is he's going off an old script that's already played, that's
Yeah.
been on TV many times, and now he's trying to take that old script and keep it going. And I think people generally, I can't speak for the American people. People, they all try to say they do. I don't. But I got to think that people are tired of the same script. It's like watching the same show over and over. You got to turn it off after a while. And he's coming back, and he's not providing anything good to this country. And I don't understand why the hate. I keep talking about that hate, and you're with it. Why people hate this country? It's a great country. They don't have to make America great again. America is great, Dr. V. America is great.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be during the Olympics that the country would come together, root for the home team, and at the end of the night, there's a couple Americans who would win gold medals. They'd sing the Star Spangled Banner, and you'd feel proud of the country. You'd have a little tear in your eye, some good success story. It was great. People would enjoy the Olympics. Now, the people on the right, I was talking to my fantasy football buddies who can't watch the Olympics because of the opening ceremonies that they disrespected the Last Supper. This is ridiculous. Or uh, they keep talking about that poor Italian girl who got beat up. They say by the male in a woman's boxing, and the person wasn't male. The person has been a girl her whole life, and they're focusing on that. And instead of enjoying the Olympics, they take little incidents like that to point out how woke the Olympics are, and then they wind up not watching it, and they lose out. It's just so sad to me that people have to divide everything. You're either for the Olympics or against the Olympics. You can enjoy it. You can enjoy it, and I still don't understand what's the value in dividing the country, except that it generates clicks, that it generates searches on YouTube or the internet. It gets attention, and it's like the guy is just so desperate to get attention that he'll do anything to arouse people's passions and anger. But it's not healthy for the country. It's
But
just not healthy.
it's not just him. Maurice, I'm having a problem understanding your question. Is it ridiculous? Lose out? Give us more of an idea. Yeah, of course, everything's just our opinion. I just don't understand your first two thoughts. Please feel free to change it a little bit so we can respond to it. I apologize for not doing it. I'm with you. I'm with you, Joe. Keep in mind, you see just over his head there, his space is still for lease. He hasn't made enough yet. He needs to monetize. He needs to monetize that wall. So remember that as we're going forward. But at the same time, I think it's more than just the Olympics and all that. I just think people are just so angry. We have to have a real winner in the November election. That's what I think. Look, I'm sick to death if it's Trump, but we need to have we can't have a divided election. We have to have a real election where a president wins a lot, maybe wins the House by a lot so they can put through what they want to put through, because otherwise this country's just going to stay broken up and just keep going. And my feeling is Trump's got to lose, because when Trump loses, he's gone. Don't think that he's going to be anything anymore. He'll be a triple loser. Nobody will care about him. He'll be finished. He'll have to do whatever he has to do. I'm just talking politically. It'll be over at that point. He's got a loser in J.D. Vance, at least for now. He reminds me a bit of Dan Quayle, except those of you who don't know Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle was first George Bush's vice president, and there was an issue on how to spell potato, whether there was an E at the end, and potato, all that kind of stuff. Yet Dan Quayle was the guy who told the vice president, Pence, not to turn over the election and not to not vote, not to allow the votes to go through. So, hey, it doesn't matter if you're out of it, you can still be a good American. Vance, I think, is lost. He's just a power-hungry guy who made a lot of money. I mean, why does he wear that beard? Because he wants to hide what he really is, right? I mean, you read what he says, and then suddenly it's the exact opposite, because he's making a lot of money in California with the Teal, I think it is, all the money, did the venture money there, and all the rest. You just sit there, you go, "Huh." So this is what's going on, but it's going to be fun, because right now, we have two debates that they won't have. One is in ABC, which Trump chickened out of. Then Trump made a deal with Fox, but there's no deal with Kamala. So it's going to be interesting to Kamala to see. I keep wanting to go Kamala the way he does it because he says it so many times it gets crazy. But the with Fox, who knows what those rules are? I think she should take him on both, and I think she'd kick his butt on both. His concern, though, is that if he has to go one-on-one with her and ABC with those old rules, he will get handled. So he wants Fox to change the rules to do it differently. I suppose he wants a crowd and can't get blanked out and all that kind of stuff because he would get handled the way Joe Biden just totally collapsed. He would collapse the same way, and that's why he doesn't want to do that.
It would be
And
great
the
to see them
chicken.
debate. Yeah,
That's Donald Trump. He's a chicken. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it would be great to see them debate, and it'd be great to see them actually debate about real issues, not over petty things. Who's black, who's orange. Yeah, this is ridiculous. That's not the problems that we have in this country. We have some problems that we can deal with, especially if we work together at them and have reasonable conversation, focus on facts, focus on solutions. And there was a brief time there where I thought maybe Trump could turn things around. After the assassination, he actually made noise like, I want to bring the whole country
He
together.
made noise. You hit it head on. He made noise. That's all he does is make noise. I'm sorry for anybody who will play politics straight up, but he's a loser, Trump. He's horrible. What do you mean he made noise? That's all he does. He can't stay straight. Did you hear him last night? Well, I read about it when I was in the car charging things up, where he went into Atlanta and he starts mouthing the governor of Georgia, who's a Republican, who had the people love him in Georgia because he wouldn't change the election. And he's so focused on that because he can't change the law. I tell you, this guy's like Uncle Fred. We're sitting there. Emmanuel, we love you. Give us a thumbs up. Tell us. I shouted you out without you asking, Emmanuel. We love you. Give us a thumbs up, will you? And some thoughts. So where were we, man? I forgot where I was. Emmanuel got me all worked up. What?
Atlanta.
In Atlanta, he's down there, and all he's talking about is the election from 4 years ago. I mean, how crazy is this guy? And he's attacking the governor who's Republican, who the people love. This guy, I'm telling you, he's like a crazy Uncle Fred sitting over at the diner with his boys. We're going to be there one day, you and me, Dr. V. And they're going to sit there, oh, yeah, this is bad. I love you, Emmanuel. Oh, yeah, this is bad. Oh, yeah, yeah. Because we'll be this old guy complaining like Uncle Fred. And that's what he is. He is Donald Little Benedict Arnold Trump. And it ain't no getting. My friend calls him Little B.
Some people may think we're already there, Mark, but
we are. No, we got Little B there. I mean, what are you talking about? Little B. I love him. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Hannibal Lecter is now elevated to Dr. Hannibal Lecter. I understand that was.
Well, he got the same diploma you got. Didn't he go to Penn like you did?
Yeah,
I'm sure he did. Wasn't he in your class?
Dr. Hannibal Lecter with a class of 68. The late great Dr. Hannibal Lecter. What is the purpose of that? I still don't understand the punchline. Why does he keep bringing up Hannibal Lecter? That's what I want.
Because he is like a Borscht Belt comedian. I read that somewhere, and it makes perfect sense. In the old days, these guys like the old Jewish comedians, they would just come in, how's your wife? And it always had the lines, right? That's not how it works now. And I think that's where Trump is. He's just he thinks he's funny. I think he believes it. Hannibal Lecter, Hannibal this. Everybody goes, ha, 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 Hannibal Lecter. And we go, yeah, right, Hannibal Lecter. I think he's from another time. I'm telling you, he's Uncle Fred. He's Uncle Fred Sanford. Fred Sanford's funny when you watch him on his show, okay? But when you're watching Fred Sanford as president of the United States or going for it, we got a problem. And that's what Donald Trump is. So I do love Fred Sanford. God, it's in my heart. It's a big one. Oh, how great. Was he? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think Donald Trump jumped the shark. I think that his show's going on one too many seasons. He's going to have to come up with some new material because he's not quite as funny as he used to be.
Fonzie, you're Fonzie. Jumped the shark. You know that's where it came from.
Yeah,
From
exactly.
Happy Days.
Yeah,
Fonzie jumped the shark.
he just ran out of stuff, so he started doing ridiculous things to get some attention, and that's
Well,
what he's up.
that's what we've got going here.
Hannibal
Maybe.
Lecter has jumped the shark.
Right.
Doctor, professor, the late great
MD.
professor.
But it's not going to stop, and that's the problem. And I think it's good because I really think people are tired of hearing it. I just talk to people and it's like old news. I'm telling you, it's like Shecky Green. He was good in his day. I don't think it will work now. Maybe it would, some of the jokes, but that won't go. Okay, now let's go over to an area that people don't like to talk about that much. You know, really don't get that many people watching. We do our shorts, my shorts at least we do it, but it worries me is what's going on in the Middle East and what's going on in the rest of the world with all that. If people think the Middle East is a joke, which one's Mr. Belvedere, Curtis? I'm telling you, it's Dr. V. It's Mr. Belvedere. The that was a good show, by the way. Mr. Belvedere was one. A good character. I'm sorry. It's people are ignoring what's going on down there, and it's going to explode. And I see you laughing. I'm with you, and I'm doing. People come on, but it's just it's. You know how you like. It's just you just feel it in your stomach. Something's just slowly building and building. You can't tell me that's not going to happen. And it's just they're waiting. They're waiting for their time to hit them, and it's going to blow up. And the question's going to be, what are we going to do at that point, and what action do we take? But those people down there, you know, I did a short on it. You know how I feel about Israel and all the rest, but I just think after 2,000 years, everybody just keeps wanting to fight. That was my last short. Dr. V. It's
So
people.
explain to me.
You can't stop it after 2,000 years. People got to wake up, but you're not going to turn around in a day. And if people think this, is what I love hearing in the newspapers and the media and everything. Wow, Israel hit them. They hit Israel. Israel hit them. They hit Israel. It's this one's fault. And I'm going, wait a second. It doesn't matter who hit who when. This has been going on for over 2,000 years. You can go way back to who hit who first. It doesn't matter. The violence, the anger, the hate. You think we deal with it? We got nothing compared to the Middle East. And it just sucks in the hate from the rest of the world that's coming in. It's like a black hole. You said it just sucks it right in. You can see people stop talking on it. They don't want to listen on this kind of stuff because it's going to cost us. It's going to cost us. Go ahead, Dr. V.
Yeah. Why do they hate each other? Explain that.
It's over 2,000 years of hate. Who knows? It's in the DNA, but it's everybody in the Middle East hates each other. It's not just this. They all hate. The Arabs hate each other too. It ain't good. We're not talking about the Arabs love each other and you have Israel. You got Saudi Arabia who doesn't like Iran. They're trying to get like a Shia and Sunni, right? You got to deal with that. You got to deal with who's got the oil and who doesn't have the oil. You got to deal with who's got the weapons and who doesn't. Who's trying to set up the guys around. They hate each other. That's it. So you're not talking about just hating the Jews. The Arabs hate each other. It doesn't matter. All these years they've talked, they've done nothing for the Palestinians. Nothing for the Palestinians. They give them money just to buy arms. They never built buildings for them. They never tried to bring them in and teach them how to trade and make money. They never did. The Arabs hate each other almost as much as they hate the Jews. And that's what the problem is in the Middle East. That hate has been just simmering for 2,000 some odd years. Think about it. That's a long time.
I mean, does it go back to Old Testament Abraham with his legitimate son and illegitimate son, and
goes all the way back to the Torah, goes all the way back to the Bible. It goes beyond that. Because remember, that stuff was written after Jesus died. If Jesus was actually here, I mean, I'm not saying it isn't. Everybody believes I'm there, but there's no historical proof of it. So I'm just saying, all I know is if he did, he died violently. And that just shows you what happens in the Middle East. It's been killing and vicious killing from back then all the way to now. And it's like a black hole that sucks in violence. and hatred. I don't know how you come up with an answer right now. I just don't know, absent an explosion. I just don't know, Dr. V. I mean, I got all my long forms. I've been talking about this. My concern is where the United States is going to end up when this happens, because you're trying to be rational. You can't be rational with groups of people that have hated each other for over 2,000 years. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, every side can point to atrocities on the other side to justify their own anger. The only solution is one side is going to have to stop the cycle,
It
and
won't work that
going
way.
to do that.
But you're being rational. The issue isn't rationality, because each of the sides are going to say, what, that side? I'm not stopping first. They should stop first. So you're right back to your point. And it's because of the 2,000 years of hatred. And when people sit here and try to wonder why we can't have a deal, I mean, remember, back in when Rabin was killed by an Israeli. After Rabin made the deal with Yasser Arafat, was moving forward, it was an Israeli who killed Rabin, Yitzhak Rabin. There's just people hate each other there, and it's horrible, this hate. And that's why we're going to get sucked into it. And that's my concern, because how big is it going to be? We can keep talking to them. Hey, calm down, calm down. Something's going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's next week, the week after, or 3 months down the line. And the United States is going to be pulled into it big time. And I'm always very worried about that. How many long form and short term videos do I have on that, about the breaking up of the American century? And that's what this is now. They're breaking us off because Iran, which everybody forgets, even though there's all that hate, that hatred led by Iran, loves Russia, who loves China, who I'm not sure about hate, and loves North Korea, who's total hate. And it's that hatred. It's all there pulling together to try to take us down. And as they take us down, our economy ends up going down, and we start having issues. People are missing it. People are missing it.
Yeah,
It's a bounce. Good question, if I may. May I take this question, Dr.
sure,
V?
absolutely.
How much can America do as Israel and NATO? Israel's not in NATO. NATO was made to protect Europe and really to protect us also. And we put all that money in. That's what NATO is, North American Treaty Organization. I mean, North Atlantic, I'm sorry. But but Israel, but what we can do, what our problem is, we got all our ships there. The issue is going to be, do we sit back and just play defense, or do we just go in and try to hurt them? And I don't know if hitting Iran's the answer. My feeling has been, I'm on record with this. I think we've pussyfooted with. Oh, I hope that's not a bad word. I always watch my words. I think we tiptoed with the Houthis. I think the Houthis should have been smashed big time. We should have hit them hard. We're wasting our missiles hitting them a couple times here and there. I think we go and smash them. Say, you want to come back? I'll smash you again. You ain't going to know what to do. The Houthis can only do what they can do based upon what the Iranians can give them. And then, but absent that, I don't know what's going on. Hezbollah, they got a lot. You're going to see Tel Aviv flattened. You're going to see lots of it happen if this goes on. So where do we go? I don't know if defense is the answer, because we have to remember, no matter what, Iran is our enemy. Iran is our enemy, Bounce. I hope you're right, Bounce. I hope it will. Bounce, give us a thumbs up. Will you please give us a like? We appreciate that. And I appreciate your input. I hope you're right. I don't think it's going to happen. Go ahead, Dr. V.
Yeah, it's almost like a family squabble here, where parents are getting divorced. Nobody cares about the kids. Everybody can point to fingers at the other side and say, "See how bad your mother is, how bad your father is," and we're sort of stuck in the middle, where we say, "Look, we're trying to look out for the long term interests of the kids here, and this fight is just not healthy." How do you deal with that? That's the question. And it's a tough situation when I work with couples, with families. It's a tough situation when we look at the family of countries. That it's really a tough, delicate balance to try to straddle.
It is. And we're getting good questions in here. We got a good question from Kevin. Those people never did anything to Americans. Kevin, if I may, that's not correct, but thank you very much for your comment. They blew a hole in one of our ships. We lost a lot of sailors. They blew up in Lebanon our barracks where our troops were. They sent in a suicide bomber and killed all of our troops, killed so many of our troops in Lebanon. they attack Americans in Iraq and in other areas, and they hit us in 9/11. Don't ever forget 9/11, Kevin. So yeah, they've done lots of things to us. They are, in many ways, many of them are our enemies, but they've attacked us because they don't believe in what we believe in. A secular country that allows people, that not only allows, encourages people to enjoy religion, believe what you want to believe, or not believe religion, and be as one. And that's what it is. So that's the problem, Kevin, and that's why they are our enemy. But thank you very much. Very good question. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. V.
Yeah, assuming that we're trying to support Israel and we want peace and we want the children to have a good life ahead of them in Palestine and in all countries, how do we deal with it? Do we put pressure on Israel to make some concessions, for example? And do we have a right to do that? Does Israel have a right to say, no, we're not going to go along with it? And uh, we're going to have to vote as a country whether to be 100% in favor of the current Israeli government and support them, or to put pressure on the current Israeli government to try to make some concessions and have a ceasefire. And I don't know, from your perspective, Mark, what's the best strategy there? Just to say, here's a blank check. You have a right to uh, prosecute the war the way you see fit, or to put pressure on Israel to make some concessions.
Look, I they're going to prosecute the war the way they want to prosecute the war. There ain't no stopping it. Okay. They got stuff built up. If they want to drop some real stuff on these people, they got armaments put away that we probably know about, that you and I don't know about, that they'll just really blow things up. I think we put heat on them. The problem you got is just because we put heat on them, why isn't Iran putting heat on the Houthis to stop hitting boats? And why isn't Iran putting heat on Hezbollah to allow the 80,000 Israelis to go back to their homes that they were thrown out up in northern Israel because of the attacks? I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying it's going to go both ways here, and that's the problem. And it's just a really, really tough situation. And once again, I think we should put heat on our allies. And I'm not a Netanyahu fan at all. I've got one or two shorts up there, as you know. I think in many ways Netanyahu's pushing this to keep himself in power. I think
Yes.
Netanyahu is. I don't like Netanyahu. I totally dislike Netanyahu, and I'm on record about it. But it's still not our country. And at the same time, if we don't support our allies, let's just take a step back. Then who's going to be our ally? If we're going to say we don't like your government, we're not going to be your ally any longer, who's going to be our ally? If Olaf Schultz loses his election in Germany to somebody else, are we no longer their ally? Are we no longer Britain's ally because they have a Labour government and not a Conservative government? That's the question there. I'm just trying to throw it out. There's a whole lot of questions on this. So you can put as much heat as you can, but at the same time, you have to back up your allies, because in the end, remember whose flag they're also burning down there. It's called the American flag. It's called Old Glory. And when you watch it, they step on the American flag in Iran. They burn the American flag, Iran. They say death to America. And if we didn't back Israel, they would still say death to America. They would still burn our flags, because we stand for a different world than the Iranians and those people down there stand for. Period. And they look at Israel as a democracy. It's not really, it's parliamentary, but they look at it as a Western democracy that they don't want. It's like a sore inside there, and they don't want it. And that's, and on top of that, they're Jewish. So that's why there's no answer. I mean, the answer, I think there is an answer. It's just going to be a lot of killing. I just think we keep putting the heat on, but how far are you going to go with it? I don't know. You tell me. I just don't think there's an answer. And that the answer is going to be, that's why I think it's going to be a big war down there. How big? I don't know, but it's going to be pretty big, and we're going to take some casualties. And I just think we had better get ready for it.
Oh my goodness, that's a pessimistic view. God.
But I think I'm being realistic. I mean, you could have said I was being pessimistic when I said Biden was out after that debate, whatever you want to call that thing. That was no debate. I was being pessimistic. I was being realistic. He was out, right? We knew it. We called it, said
Yeah.
bye-bye. It's over. You have to be upfront. 2,000 years, Joe, and that's what everybody's missing. We are sucked. I'm telling you, it's a vortex. It's a black hole of hate down in the Middle East. And as people around the world hate each other, it sucks that hate in. It makes the hate more and more. It's that's what's going on out there. I don't know how else to explain it. And I try to put it out on video. You can't stop it. You have to be prepared for loss and be prepared to take the actions you got to take to protect your interests. And that's where, if I can pull it over here, MAGA misses it. Because it's not just, well, I can't back Ukraine, but I could back China. I mean, back, not China,
Israel.
Taiwan.
Yeah.
Taiwan's not China. China's the mainland. You have to decide, what are we going to do? That's why we have to back Ukraine. At the same time, we back all of our European allies. At the same time, we back Japan and Australia and South Korea and the Philippines. We got to do it. We're stuck. This world has been separated. It's hate. It's viciousness. It won't stop. I would ask people, look at the stuff we have up on Just American Citizen, my long forms and all, and shorts. Dr. V knows them. I've had them up there for months and months and months. This is what's going on, and we'll work it out because America's great. I believe, and I believe we'll work it out. But we're going to be taking some real hits here, and I don't think it's anywhere near over.
It could turn out the way you are predicting, but I think there's an alternative. And
wait a second, I want to stop something
Go
here,
ahead.
if I
Yes,
may.
sure.
Okay, Harry, we don't appreciate what you put down there. You want to enter here and put things in, feel free. You don't, then don't waste our time. He's no creepy Joe. He's the president of the United States, and he got people out. You want to say MAGA vote Trump? Feel free. I don't care. But I'm running this thing, and I don't like hearing your stuff. So either put it in and be upfront, whether you agree with us or not, but stop with this hair ass loss. That's not what we're here to do. I'm sorry. And that's not what our country is here for. Not for that kind of BS. And I don't care if you're right wing or left wing. I'm sorry. I know I interrupted you.
But you're making the point that what we're about is not contributing to the hate in the world, but try to understand people. And I agree with you. We absolutely have to support our allies, but here's where I disagree with you. That supporting allies includes not just helping them for the near term, but helping them evolve toward their long term best interests. And sometimes individuals or countries get lost with that. For example, if I work with someone who has an addiction problem, they might say, I need your help. I need money to buy drugs. You don't give money to buy drugs because that's going to perpetuate that pattern where they stay in the addiction. You give them resources to get out of the addiction. And the same thing with our allies, to give them support to get out of the problem that they have. And they have to recognize that they're in a terrible cycle of violence that they need to break. And they have to get on board with, this is not the way to live. This is not the way for the country to go forward. And even though I understand why they have the hatred, why they have the anger, why they want to get revenge on the other countries. And it feels good on a certain level to be angry, to be upset, to get revenge. But it doesn't serve your own best interest. You think by hurting the other country, that's going to restore some sort of balance. It doesn't restore a balance. Again, that's sort of a Trump kind of transactional thinking that if I hurt the other person, I'm going to do better. But you hurt the other person, you only hurt yourself. So we need another way of thinking about the problem. We have to bring that to bear. And for me, I get my cue from working with families, working with individuals. You support healthy behaviors, behaviors that are going to look out for the country's long-term best interests. So I don't believe in giving weapons to a country that are going to just perpetuate the cycle of hate. So
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were finished. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm finished.
There's a difference, if I may, when you're trying to pull a parallel. People come to you and ask you to help them. You then are willing to help them. No countries are coming to us asking us to go into their country and show them how they're wrong and what to do. Doesn't matter what the country, who the country is. It doesn't matter if it's a European country or an Asian country. And that's the difference. And yeah, people come to you and they say, I've got a problem, Dr. V, Please help me. I have a real addiction problem. Please help me. And they have come to you because they're willing. I don't know if the patient all the time is, but they've been pushed, whatever, to come in and see you because they want to do it. This is different. This isn't our job to be their psychiatrist. This isn't our job to tell them how to run their country. There's moral issues we can talk about that we can deal with, but they're not coming to us. This is more, unfortunately, a transactional issue. Okay. They're not coming to us for us to make them a better and more moral country. They're coming to us to help them and saying, we believe kind of the same stuff you believe. People vote here, people vote your place. They do this, they do that. And so it's really different. So it's hard to say, I'm going to just deal with you like a patient because they're not a patient. They're an ally. And an ally can always leave being an ally. An ally can always go somewhere else. That's a lot different than being a patient. It's a transactional political thing that we have to get prepared for because the allies come in, over the years. How many years, decades did we have to support tyrants? I mean, not that we had to, we did. Okay, we just did. Harry, we're going to take you off next time. You're really sickness. You really are. And it's really a sad situation. You are an example of what we talk about. You're not MAGA. You are far right wing craziness that doesn't deal. I give MAGA a lot more credit than I give you, and I'm sorry. So please leave us alone. The problem is that so that's where it is. They're not coming to you. So we have to decide for our own economic interests and our own defense interests who our allies are going to be. And then we have to be willing to modify our actions to keep them as allies because we're the parent in the room. And that's what ends up happening. I'm just saying that's the difference. So you can't just say to them, if you don't do this, I don't like this. And if I think you're wrong, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Because at the same time, Joe, Russia isn't saying that to Iran, and they're giving Iran whatever they need. They're giving them all the gas or oil or whatever they need. They're not saying it to South Korea. China's not saying it to Russia. They're saying we're going to do whatever it takes for you to bring down the United States. And that's why that's always been part of one of my major arguments. That's why we've got to look at this thing and say, we have to look at it as are we okay? And how are we? And then move forward from there. And if our allies help us, then we do what we can to try to modify behaviors. But if they help us, they're our allies. That's what's going on because the world has split. It's no longer a blue-gray. It's no longer gray. It's all black or white. That's where it's gone to.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you want to help our allies, but you want to help the allies in the sense of looking for long-term best interests, not short.
You want the allies to help you. You see, that's where I don't agree with you. Okay. I want my allies to help me so they can trade with me, so they can help my economy, so they work with me on my defense, so that if I want to get hostages out, they'll work with me and let people out of their prisons. That's what I want are those allies. That's more important to me in this world where we have enemies who will kill us tomorrow. That's just me who have enemies. I'm not going to push too hard. I'll push and maybe not give them this or that, but what are you not going to give them? What are you going to tell them they can't have, Joe? If they got to defend themselves, what do you tell them they can't have? Tell me what weapon you're going to stop from giving them. That's the problem. How do you make that determination? How do we decide Japan doesn't need weapons? How do we decide South Korea doesn't? If South Korea says to us, Japan and South Korea are talking nuclear now. I think nuclear is out of the bag. There ain't nothing stopping it. But what are we going to do there? Do we say to Japan, if you do nuclear, your Constitution doesn't allow it. We beat you in a war. We helped you write. We wrote your Constitution. Now you're going to ignore your Constitution and we're not going to be your friend anymore. It doesn't. I'm using that as an example. Look at that. So, yeah, we should morally be in a situation. And you're 100% correct. You're not wrong. I just think we're in this black and white world now where we either have our friends and we stick with them because we know our enemies are going to do anything they can to slice us. We know it and we got to understand it and be prepared for it and go on from there. And that's just my thought. So I'll put a little heat on my clients and my allies if there was a problem. But I say you got to do what you got to do to defend yourselves up to a point, but it's got to end after a while. Well, you know what's going to happen in Israel. Netanyahu will be thrown out eventually. And in Japan, they get thrown out. And in South Korea, they get thrown out. Because they're democracies, and that's why we deal with them. And then you can't deal with Russia. You can't deal with China. Well, you can a little bit. You can't deal with South Korea, and you can't deal with Iran. That's the problem. Loyal allies is what we need, Lou 26. That's what we need. I'm sorry, go ahead. That's so to me, that's our difference. I think we're in a black and white world, not in a gray world. And I think in a gray world 20 years ago, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Today, I think it doesn't work. I love you. You're smart as can be, and right on and lay it out there. That's just how I feel. Go ahead.
Yeah. Uh, you're absolutely right. We need loyal allies and we need to support our allies. And I would suggest that it is in our best interest to make sure our allies are healthy and strong. And so it may look like we're giving more to our allies than what we get back on the short term. But in the long term, by having healthy allies, it really is in our long term best interest. As you point out, a healthy ally can increase our trade, can increase mutual success in dealing with other countries. And that's
Look
what
what we did with the hostages. Look what we did with the
it's
hostages.
a good example. These are all good examples. Now, where we sort of disagree a little bit is that you believe the world is black and white, and it is shaping up to be that way. But we've been around long enough that things go in cycles. What used to be an enemy becomes a friend, and vice versa. I believe that all people have very similar needs. If you look at individuals, they have a need to connect with other people. Have a need to have some purpose in life. They want to raise a family. They want to be able to enjoy entertainment. They want to be able to work and provide for their families. And that's what's common across all countries, and that includes Palestinians, Russians. If you talk to individuals in Russia, they have the same kinds of needs that we do.
Russia can't, you talk to individuals there, they can't tell you the truth no matter what
Mm,
because they get it on there and they could be thrown into a gulag. I love you. Everybody
I
needs food and stuff, but nobody in Russia is going to tell you the truth. Nobody, they're just not because they can get handled too fast. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah,
I
and
mean, the
but you're right.
Russians are, he's a devil. Go ahead.
There's certain governments that have sort of control over their citizens that people can't fulfill their basic needs.
That's
So the
correct.
question, how do we change that? And by creating all Russians are bad and all Americans are good, doesn't create the situation where in Russia they're going to change their government because they're going to see us as the enemy. We should present ourselves not as the enemy, but we're the ally of health. We're the ally of people getting along, people succeeding, people working together to deal with common problems. And I know it sounds a little uh, pie in the sky, Pollyannish, that sort of thing. But ultimately, that is
A
the
la mode. A la mode.
yeah,
Buy a la mode, I hear.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, it ultimately that has to be the answer. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be weak. That doesn't mean you have to uh, just take other people's crap all the time. But it means your eye is always on the long term, not what's immediate going to make you feel good, but what's your ultimate goal? What do you want to accomplish? And keeping your eye on that, and then making decisions based on your long term best interest. And I think that's what winds up being the morally correct answer as well. So what upsets me about the MAGA movement, to get back to local politics, is that they seem to be focused on what's going to win the day, what's going to get me the news for today, and they don't worry about the long term effects. And so, if getting people riled up and angry helps you win the news cycle for the day, but it hurts the country long term, they don't care about that. And that's my biggest
Well,
complaint
in their,
about
but
the
yeah, but
movement.
in their mind they do because they think that by going back and de-evolution, they think that it'll be better. I'm with you. I just think the world has changed so much, Joe. I don't think we can look at it. We were lucky. We grew up through it. I'm lucky. I remember ducking cover when I was in elementary
Eh,
school. I remember the Soviets when I worked in Washington. You couldn't wear red on the floor because red was communist, and these guys wear red ties now. But I just remember all that stuff. and remember how they were going to threaten us and kill us and do all this kind of stuff. And we have to, I just think there's no, you got a Russian head who kills all the people in Russia who doesn't agree with them, pushes them out windows, blows up their jet planes. That was no loss for anybody, Wagner there. And that kind of stuff, who writes books and says, I want to be czar and I'm going to take over all these countries. I don't think there's an answer. I think I really, my feeling, we're back. This is Cold War 2.0. I've been saying this for how
Oh yeah,
long have I been saying it?
yeah, that's
And they just kind of talk about a little, and the hate. There's just no getting away from it. Russia is our enemy. There's no getting along with them. We make trades. We make trades. I love hearing these guys in the media go, "Does this mean we can make a deal later?" Yeah, maybe. But they're putting out stuff. They sent their satellite, their satellite. They can blow up other satellites into space. This is what they do. They don't care, and they want to. I'm not talking Joe Russian. I'm talking from the top down, okay? And that's what they do. They don't care, and it just goes forward because of it. They are our enemy. There's no getting away from it. There's nothing we could do morally to change them, because they believe that killing and taking is theirs to do when they see fit. North Korea is the same way. Look at all the people they starve. He's fat and he drinks, the young un, but his people starve and die. It's a different mentality. We're not going to change that. So what we hope is we have our allies. Look, I'm just disagreeing with you. That's all. We hope we have our allies, and we stay with them and we work with them. We put heat on them, but we have to understand what we are against. I don't call it evil. It isn't evil. It's our enemy. They don't think they're evil. It's our enemy. That's what we're against. And we have to do what it takes to protect ourselves. And I think we're really misjudging the threat to America right now. I think we're really misjudging and underestimating this threat. We live too good. We can talk like this. You can go out and get something you want to eat. You can do this. My electricity can be down. I can put on my headphones and listen to music on my phone as long as I have a charge, right? We are missing how hard it is out there and how bad it is and how we can get sucked into it and how badly we can get hurt. And that's what I think morally we got to worry about is US, us. Okay, go ahead.
yeah.
That's where we disagree, guys. That's where
Russia is not our enemy. It's the Russian government, the
That's
autocracy.
our enemy. That's
It's
our
the
enemy.
and the
Well,
autocracy.
the government runs the tanks. The government runs the army. I love you. Please, I'm shaking you. I'm shaking you. I'm doing this, guys, because he and I go back 53 years, and he lets me do it. I don't think there are too many other people he lets talk to him this way. Okay, I know one other person he lets talk to him this way. Okay, and I'll let her talk to me that way too.
Right.
I ain't fooling around there.
Exactly.
So just understand he's the greatest guy in the world. I absolutely love him, and that's why I'm happy he's on here. We love each other, and that's why we talk this way to each other. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. No, and I hear you, but it's that attitude, that autocracy of what can I get from me, and
Right
not
on,
being
Lou.
concerned and not being concerned for other people in the world. And it's that attitude that it's in some governments that's the whole government philosophy, but you can see that attitude even in the United States. The people of this transactional notion of I win if I have more stuff than you. And I suggest that that's not really healthy. That doesn't help you as an individual. That when the other person loses, I must win because the other person is doing worse than me. That attitude does not help you in the long run. Raising up everyone helps you because then you do have partners to trade with. You do have people to do stuff with. And you talked about it the other day. That part of what makes America great historically is that in this pot, the soup that we add different spices. And it's in that diversity that creates a really good pot of stew, if you will. And so, you know, the Russian people are fine, Ukrainian people are fine, Palestinian people are fine too. We have to get out of the notion that they're the devil, that they're evil. It's an
I don't know
attitude.
anybody who says they're
It's
the devil, they're evil from
it's
here in America.
it's an attitude of that you're just looking out for your interest. It's a zero sum game. That if I get my stuff, I win the war. I win life, and that's not winning life. And especially as I get older, I can see where that attitude gets you in trouble. Again, worked with couples going through divorces and that sort of thing. They get pleasure seeing the other person suffer. You know, so long as I can get the other person, then I win. You don't win. You just spend the money on lawyers, and you wind up poor for it. I know, go lawyers, but
Go
it's I
lawyers.
just seen people just spend thousands of dollars to get at the other person, and then they have nothing to show for it themselves, except that they're a couple $1,000s cheaper. I don't want our government to think that way, that we win when the other country suffers. We don't. We win when we do well, and we actually win when other people do well. And
Yeah, but we don't want
that,
anybody to suffer. I agree. You're 100% correct. I'm just worried about people coming after us. If they left us alone, life would be easy, but they're all coming after us. And if we don't accept that and understand it, get off our high,
but
and
why,
look, we are the fool on the hill.
yeah, but why are
Sees
they
the
coming
sun
at, why
going
are they
round
coming after us? Why are they coming after us?
because we've got what they want.
Yes. Yes.
Success.
Yes.
We've got talent. We've
Yes.
got a great system. We've got economy, but
Yes.
people don't understand it. And then the others come after us because they don't like what we are. They want us to be religious. They think everything we do is blasphemy and would try to destroy everything we do. It's not just like that. I mean, people, 9/11, they just destroy people thinking that that's where it is. There's no talking to those people, whether it's left or right wing, because in each country it may be left or right depending on their definition. But there's no talking to people that far out there. There just isn't, and there's only one way. We have to deal with them, and that's why we have to defend ourselves, and we have to start putting up Fortress America. We should be putting up. How I feel. We should have so much money in our battery technology and our solar technology and all this to control that land, control that light. So when it comes down, we can, man, just think if you could do it right when all the drones come over and you got a gun that just could shoot one beam, not a wide beam, and just take the whole area out. End it quickly. There are things we should be doing. We're not doing it because we're not looking out for ourselves and we're too busy fighting with each other. And I would suggest
Yeah.
to you that our problem should be guys like you need to get a hold of Americans and start getting Americans to start talking with one another and get Americans to understand exactly what you're saying so we realize we have a problem. Okay?
Yeah. No, the same
Blue, I agree.
approach,
Go ahead.
the same
Go ahead.
approach that we can apply to other countries, we need to apply internally, vice versa.
Most
But even
importantly,
within a family, I think you're absolutely right. That part of why they hate us is because we have something that they don't have. The solution isn't to more tightly guard what we have, but to make available what we have so that they have a path to get it.
which we
If they're,
always did. What haven't we put out there, Joe?
uh,
We our technology is everywhere. Our money is everywhere. Our economy helps most people out there. Come on. Yeah, it hurts others, but where haven't we done it? Where haven't we done it? Right? That's all. I mean, we are doing what you're talking about. But if we don't start realizing that people are coming after us and are going to try to kill us and destroy us, which is what's going on every day, we're not going to be around to do what we need to do, which is to help others, which is to have a good economy, which is to look out for other Americans because we're not looking out for ourselves. We're letting this world crash up off of us and fall apart, and we're not taking care of ourselves and our friends and leading because we don't have a vision of where this is going right now. And it's a new world. It'll come back. Cycles go all over the place. History rhymes. It doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. But we're right back to where we were at the end of the 40s,
yeah,
but with more weapons and more destructive weapons.
spending resources to defend ourselves, we have to be careful with. I agree. We need to defend ourselves. But if we're spending too many resources to defend ourselves and not enough resources to build up other people, we're going to invite a war. And let me give you an example.
Invite. Look
Yeah.
what the Russians are doing. They're
Look,
invading whoever they want to invade.
af-
They don't care.
after World War II, with respect to our enemies, we went in there and rebuilt those countries.
Right,
And now they're our allies. After World War
right,
One,
right,
different tack. Try to
right.
punish our enemies, and they became enemies again. And they created World War II. We can't punish our enemies. We need to invite them to sit at the table, to have some hope that they can have what we have. Let them earn it. Let them work for it. Let there be a peace to get there. And even within the country, I think there's a great majority of people right now who see certain people who are well off, who live in their country clubs, have their cars and everything, and they don't see a path to get that, and they're really angry. And I think that's one of the things that the MAGA movement taps into. People need to show that there's a path to get what you want in life, and it's not by tearing down the other person. It's by having a way to get it yourself. I'm sorry, Mark.
No, I was
You
looking
have
at a
a comment.
comment we had. I was listening to you and I was looking at the comment, Joe, from Just Miles.
Yeah,
And whoops, can't put that. I can see. I don't know when I can see better. Can we at least call our fellow Americans slurs? We're too busy fighting other Americans. Just Miles, that's what
yeah.
Joe and I are
Beautiful.
saying.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Exactly. Give a thumbs up to yourself. That's right on
Right.
target. That's right on target. And I think that's the point. That's the point. And in our elections, we need to elect candidates who are in favor of that sort of thing in our life. We need to deal with other people, including our family members, that way. Is what can we do to bring all of us up, not tear the other person down?
In America, I'm with it. And with our allies, I'm with it. And with our enemies, no way. Let them live and let them sink in the muck they want to live in. Let them sink in the quicksand. If the Houthis think they're happy living the way they live, let them live that way. If the Iranians are happy making women wear things and killing them and hanging them because they won't wear a headscarf, then let them do it. That's their country. Don't come over here and start it here. You do, you're looking for a problem. I'm a major social liberal. I'm major conservative defense. And right now, we've got these people coming after us, burning our flag, doing it. People here in America burning flags. These people, they should be. I really worry. So it's the law; they can do it. But don't you raise a Hamas flag? Don't you raise a Russian flag? You're looking for it. You are not an American if you do that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. That's where you and I are different. You see how like this line comes down here in the middle? That's where you and I separate. I just think it is so bad out there, and we are living so good, and we've been living so good that we don't understand how bad it is and how they're coming after us. We don't understand, and it won't happen until they hit us, and we won't be prepared. It won't happen that way. It won't be that easy. I'm telling you, it'll be boom. It's not like it was with Pearl Harbor when they hit us and it was all the way out in Hawaii. Different
It's
ball game now.
it's easy to love people who love us. It's easy to love our friends. The hard part is loving our
Americans
enemies.
should love each other and then have
The hard part
allies.
is loving our enemies.
Oh,
The hard part is understanding our enemies. Where are they
you,
coming from? What is their perspective? And they have
you
a very different perspective
You
than.
understand their weakness so you could take them down when they come after you.
Well,
That's where I agree with you.
understand their weakness so you can take them down, or understand their weakness so you can build them up so that they will be less angry.
Why
They
are we
will want to
building up
sit at the table.
Russia? We put major money into Russia, Joe. We were living over, we pumped major cash in there. And that thug, he just kills people and takes our money and keeps building another. He's building on the kids there in school are wearing uniforms. They're being taught how to use rifles. They're being taught how to kill people. That's what they're doing in Russia. I love you. I love you. Russia, that's not what's going on in the world anymore. There's nothing for us to offer them except leave us alone. You want to do what you do, don't start with our friends. If you do, you got a problem. We'll have our economic programs over here, and you don't have to be a part of it. Too bad. Destroy your people, destroy your own. Okay, that's where we are right now, I think, and that's how I feel.
That's how you guarantee that there is going to be a war.
It's already happening. There's no getting away from it. We
We
can't
can
keep
get away
rolling.
from it. We
I'm
can
not
get away from
saying
it.
why are we
We got to
starting to
turn the heat down. We got to turn
we
the heat.
aren't. I agree, but we're not. What are we doing? What are we doing to turn up the heat?
From their perspective,
I'm asking you, what are we doing to turn up the
so
heat?
so the question is, are
Because
we
we're in
asking
Ukraine
are
and we're
we
helping
asking
Ukraine?
are we asking the other side what we're doing to turn up the heat, to understand it from their perspective? And again, I don't understand all their perspective, but let me speculate what we're doing to turn up the heat. If
In
I'm in
Ukraine,
Russia,
right?
I'm going to speculate. I don't
Good.
know. We need to ask them what we're doing to turn up the heat. But
They know. They
let
told
me.
us.
So one possibility is, if I'm Putin and I have my wealth, the other side is coming to take away my wealth. If I'm Putin and I'm president of Russia, I'm concerned that NATO is going to come to my very front door, that Ukraine will go become part of NATO, and now NATO and all the resources are going to be right on my front door. If if China had bases in Cuba, we wouldn't be happy with that. And so that may be
They
what they
do.
perceive.
They got their ships down there. Look, it's a different. I'm with you. I'm sorry. We're. I love you.
So
The
that
space is for rent. Look, the problem is I'm with you, but the problem is, Joe, that it doesn't matter if you're next to us or down. Missiles will hit you everywhere. It's not like the old days. They can blow up our satellites, so we have no GPS. The whole game's over. It doesn't matter. It's different. It's hate or not hate. Russia invaded Ukraine. Period. They invaded Georgia. Period. They took over Crimea. That's what they do. To understand them is it's not to understand the people. It's to understand Putin. And when you have to understand an autocrat, a thug, a dictator, and you have to all you do is you understand, I'll put up with you. And you say to people, don't go there and be a dummy because that thug is going to make you a hostage. There's nothing to understand with this guy. Millions of people left Russia. He's a thug. He's a piece of dirt. He's no more than that. What is there to understand, Joe? So I'm with you. In a good gray area when everybody's kind of talking, it's fine. This guy pulled out the nuclear deals. He said it doesn't matter. Z does what he wants to do. So that's right. You think the young un cares? The young un will shoot us in a second. So I'm with you. But let me tell you all, because we've been taking too much of your time. He's good. And he knows what he's talking about, Joe Volpicelli there. So you listen to him. I'm just a little harder than he is. That's why we separate there, because his job is to help people, and he does a great job of it. And that's why he deals with that kind of stuff. Mine is, I think we have to protect the country. And I just think it's a new world right now. So that's where we are. But we both love our country. We both think it's great. We both think Trump is Benedict Arnold Jr. And I got a guy wrote in called him Little B. And I like that little B. And that's where we are. But we both love our country big time and think that the answer is we have, as Americans,
yeah,
have to come together. And
we
that's what
agree
it all
agree
is.
on that. And
As Americans,
I love
it's
you too,
about time.
and you make really good points. And
No,
you're
I
right. You
don't.
have to defend yourself. You can't be just, people can perceive being looking out for your long-term interest and helping other countries as being weak, and some people could take advantage of that weakness. You're absolutely right. So you have to show that you're not weak, that you're going to defend yourself. Absolutely, I agree with that. But we also have to look at the long-term solution, which is eventually we need to get Russian people to be on our side. We need to get North Korean people to be on our side. And so long as we keep in mind that people have the same basic human needs all over the world, and it's not their fault that, maybe it is if they voted for it, but that they have a government that is
They don't vote
selfish.
for that. They don't vote for that.
So that it's not their fault that they have a government that's selfish, that looks out just for their interests, that sees the world as a zero sum game, that's doing everything in their power to win the day, not look out for what's healthy for the country for the long term. So long as we keep in mind that there are people that are victims of that live in Russia, that live in Palestine, that live in these other countries, they're not evil people, then I think we can make decisions which are healthy for the world, healthy for us as individuals, and healthy for the country. So there you
Right
have it.
on. Right on. I think all we have to do right now is worry about ourselves and our allies and start pulling it up and getting ready. And I'm not talking defense. Defense doesn't work. The best defense is a what, Mr. Fantasy Football? The best defense is a good offense.
Offense,
That's
sure.
where we
Well,
got to be prepared because they get nervous when you got an offense. Nobody gets nervous. We had the greatest defense of all time with Ray Lewis and the boys in 2000, but they weren't afraid of them until they saw what they could. We still needed to have an offense to get points, and that's where we are here. And I'm with you. Let me tell you, he's a lover. He's got a heart this big. I got a heart this big. It's real little. So
not
when
at
you
all.
do this,
No,
this
no,
is his heart.
no,
It's like
no, no, no.
gigantic. It
You have a
explodes,
big
and
heart,
mine's
too.
this. But either
No,
way,
you have a
we
huge heart.
appreciate everybody who watched us. We thank you for all the input. And man, please watch my shorts on Just an American Citizen. The doctor's going to be having a new channel for you all to watch soon, but he can't give you the name until he locks it in. And that's the way it is.
Period.
See you all next week, and keep an eye on our shorts and longs with Just an American Citizen. And we'll find out Dr. V's new channel soon. See ya.
Right, bye.
Bye.